And Brad, are you recording this? Give me a thumbs up. Okay, awesome. Because there's a few members that couldn't make it today. I wanted to hear it that I talked to at 5:30 this morning. I want to start off first. Me and Ben get a little long-winded sometimes if you've listened to our podcast, and this is probably one of those that we could get long-winded on. But staying on track or keeping your gains or keeping your muscle, all this is going to be wrapped up in one bow. But I want to give you four or five little things that I think would be beneficial. I've seen it beneficial in what I've done this past 3 weeks. And one is keeping a journal, because we're all crazy scheduled right now. Because one, we're trying to do things and we're at the house, and it gets hard to do that, especially for me with Bella. She's here 24/7, and like your all's kids, they want to do things or they don't want to do things. We're arguing with them. Everything just has its unbalances, so to speak. So I want to kind of keep a journal. Say, okay, and not just a fitness journal. Maybe what I started doing is doing a daily log of everything I have to do that day. And I'm trying to set it out 4 or 5 days in advance to develop my schedule back for this temporary norm that we have. This is not going to be forever. And we're going to get back to going to the gym, and we're going to get back to training clients and having fun and giving high fives and seeing people. It's going to happen. So keep a journal. That's the number one thing I have. Track your workouts too. And I'll lead that in tracking the workouts I'll lead you into a reward yourself system. And, every store we go to has this value member or value customer or this perks, or you scan this card, you get so many miles, everything like that. So do the same on the day-to-day basis, just like we're doing right now. Reward yourself after you've burned 700 calories or had a successful workout, or you didn't raise your voice to your kids. It doesn't have to be fitness related all the time, but reward yourself. That's number 2. And number 3 would be stop worrying about losing your gains. It's the good thing about doing Zoom classes now is that it is actually variety. Variety is going to provide us with different adaptation and skill sets that we haven't had by doing barbell movements all the time in CrossFit, or if we was in Fit Club. Now you get a little more weight because you actually come and rented some equipment out, so you have variability in your workouts still, and that type of variety is going to provide the body with new adaptations that the muscles didn't normally have. So you're still going to make good gains. Now, I'm not here to tell you I'm still going to be able to squat clean 365 pounds when first day I get back in the gym. That would be retarded to think about. But I still will be strong enough to squat clean within 4 weeks or 5-6 weeks of those numbers. So you have to know that fitness is still a journey, and it always will be a journey. And this is just a valley that we're in right now, and it's going to get better, I promise. And the last one is stay social. Do this type of stuff that we're doing now. I love seeing everybody's face, besides Jay Gervins with this goofy photo that she's got on. But other than that, everybody look at Jay, swipe to the right till you find her. All right. Or that face right there just come on. It's everybody's smiling right now, and that's what it's about, because everybody is having a good time, and we still get to socialize. And this is not the new normal. I want to reassure you all that this is just a phase. All right, I'm going to let Ben take over now for a few seconds. Any questions before I give it to Big B? Nothing?
Everybody's on mute right now.
Unmute. Anybody want to
If they
unmute?
had a question, they couldn't have asked it.
Oh, well, they're smart enough. Believe me, 3 weeks of Zoom, everybody knows how to work it now. If I do, they should.
I think there's even a feature to raise your hand.
Yeah, Emily just told me there's a feature to raise your hand, so do that. All right.
So one of the things that I think that we have, Chris and I have shared, and even have talked to Brad about this, uh, with all the Zoom classes and all the workouts, and everybody's doing a fantastic job of trying to keep up their fitness. Maybe this is definitely an opportunity to find some kind of movement, like a gymnastics movement, maybe a handstand or a wall walk or something like that. That if you have space on a wall that you can do that, this is a perfect opportunity to practice that. And Chris said, stay social. So maybe that's something that you can take that movement and video it. You don't have to video your first one, but video that and challenge yourself to get better at that. Post it on social media and try to get feedback on how to improve it and share it with everybody. This will be a good opportunity to take some kind of skill that doesn't need a barbell or even a pull-up rig for that matter, and take that skill and try to, one, share it with everybody. You can journal and document your progress in that skill. I joke all the time that I hate gymnasts because they make certain things look so easy, and we take for granted that they've been doing that since the age of 3 or 4. And since fitness is so all encompassing, this is that perfect opportunity to take some of those little things that we often do in structured class, like a hollow body hold or an arch hold. This would be an opportunity to take that simple movement and just try to improve it into the bigger picture of what the movement looks like, whether that be a toe to bar, whether that be a pull up, or if some of us have goals to get a muscle up or anything along those lines. So take that small movement and share it amongst everybody out there for positive feedback and even some, constructive options that we can do in order to improve that movement for the big picture. Because I think so often we lose sight that fitness is all about running, lifting, whatever it might be, but fitness is involved in skill too, and the skills that go into some of these things. Where when we see some of the elite in all sports, not just the sport of fitness, we hardly ever see their attention to detail of Tom Brady throwing a football hundreds and hundreds of times in a practice. And this is our opportunity to do that, and we can share that amongst each other and document that skill as we try to progress it. I don't want to be too sciencey today, so I'm trying to avoid some of those things. But Chris said stop worrying about losing your gains, because we are going to lose them. But one of the things that we need to understand, or I think this might be the in depths of my science today, one of the things that we need to understand is that, so let's say we're out for 8 weeks. When you get back into the gym or under a barbell or on a pull-up rig or whatever it might be, let's say you've been out for 8 weeks, it'll probably take 4 weeks. There's just something that we call the half-life of training. And it'll probably take about 4 weeks in order to get back to where you were. But understanding that is super important, because that first week that we get back to our regular fitness routines, we have to accept that we're not going to be where we were, and it's going to take a process to get back there. So now's the time to be focusing on virtuosity of movement. If your back squat isn't perfect, this is that time to focus on making your air squat beautiful, whether it's some of the drills that we could do. Chris and I have a video that we haven't released yet, but we're getting close to that time that it might be perfect to some of the skills and drills that we can do to improve those air squats. Just so when we get back into the gym, that back squat, that overhead squat, that front squat can be that much better. A lot of times the reason that we're going to lose some of that fitness is our sensitivity to stress. A lot of times when we exercise and a new stress comes about us, our body has this signaling that says, hey, it's okay for this stress. I'm okay with it. But in the beginning, we're all going to get back to the gym and we're going to think that this hurts so bad. Well, it's because our body lost that sensitivity of that stress. And in the beginning, our body thinks that it's not okay. And so part of training is adapting to stress and knowing that it will be okay once that stress keeps coming. And so that's one of the reasons that when we get back into training, we're not going to feel, we're going to feel so far away, but knowing that part of that adapting to stress will be part of that process of getting back to where you were. And that's part of the reason why we talk about the term half-life. All right, Chris, you got anything? We'll take a break from me rambling.
No problem. I'm used to that though. So the truth of the matter is, Ben hit the nail on the head with what I would want to say. If you want to get better at gymnastics, then before and after your Zoom work, hey, lay down there and do some hollow holds or some hollow rocks, some Supermans, anything dealing with the core to provide that body with the knowledge to brace your spine during that gymnastics movement and still stay in control of your body and not losing that tightness. That is essential when doing any type of gymnastic work, even barbell work. The rigidity you make in the movement, the stiffness in your body is very important. And if we can control that through a hollow body, we're going to be able to control that in any situation. We're going to have barbell, toe to bar, handstands, any of the muscle up, any of those movements. All of that is going, every movement we do in the sport of fitness anyways, is always our core to periphery. So the most important thing we have is right here in our belly. I mean, belly breathing and diaphragmatic breathing, you hear Ben talk about that all the time. It is one of the most positive things you can do for your weightlifting. And that is possible. And going back and just working on those basics, that's a great cut, Meisner. I love it. Going back and working on those basics like that is going to pay dividends. And the return to play, like Ben said about the shelf life, is going to be much quicker because you've gotten better at the most minute things in fitness. And that's breathing under tension. It's the most influential thing and beneficial thing you could probably be doing right now. And it takes zero. You can do it right now while we're on this meeting. You can sew that core in tight instead of lounging back in your couch like I wish I was doing, Amy. But there's just things you can do, and it doesn't take much effort to get it done, but it's going to be beneficial, and it'll help on return to play.
One of the things that another one of the things that I don't think is mentioned enough is the use of isometrics, and you touched on it right there, doing the hollow body holds. And I remember times as a kid when you were trying to move something, you just weren't strong enough to move it, maybe a huge rock or whatever it might be. And we think of that as just kids at play, but in actuality, that's this isometric contraction that you recruit so many motor units in your muscles in order to push something that you cannot move, that is a form of strength training. If you think about bodybuilders when they're doing a pose and they're flexing so hard, that is a form of strength training as well. So there's these little things that we're seeing so many great movements in the forefront by leaders such as Brad doing Zoom calls and so many exercise opportunities, but there's other options. There's these focusing on handstands, the virtuosity of your air squat, these isometric contractions. Think about pushing your car. Now, let's be smart about this and be safe, but I would love to see a video posted of somebody pushing their car. Hopefully somebody's in it to make sure to hit the brakes or whatever so you don't run into anything. But that would be a form of strength training. So there's some challenges here. Post some videos of you trying a crazy gymnastics movement. Share it with your friends. Let's talk about it. Let's go push a car. Another great opportunity for some strength training. So there's all these little things that we can do that are outside of just these awesome cardio conditioning pieces that we're getting that chance to do.
Anybody got any questions? Questions? Nothing? All right. Well, I want to go and move toward drinking. And I only want to do that because of that article Amy posted this morning on Facebook. Did anybody get a chance to read it? I shared it on the Thunder Valley group. Thumbs up, thumbs down? No, maybe? Okay, cool. All right, down. Well, it was like they done a survey of, I believe it, don't quote me on any of the numbers, but I believe it's like 3,000 Americans and how much they was drinking during work now because they had it, they just had it off the screen. This is my shaker. It's my pre-workout. So after this, I'm working out. I'm not drinking yet. But, I wanted to run some numbers by you. I mean, those calories do count. They are poison. You can't call them a carb or a fat or a protein. But I just want to throw some general numbers at you real quick. 5 ounces of wine is 150 calories. 1 beer, about 150 calories. Not if you're drinking those little light Trulies. Don't raise your hand, Brad. But thank you, buddy. Another good smile. I love seeing y'all smile, man. But those are about 150 calories too, and 1.5 ounces of tequila, 96 calories. So there's your answer. What are you going to sip on? Tequila. Cut those calories down, okay? But life is all about balance. I'm not telling you not to drink during your job. I'm not telling you not to drink, period. But life is about balance. And this COVID-19 is really threw the balance out of life for all of us because we're here looking at each other right now. But we can't let it get out of control because it will affect our fitness more than we want it to. And but I 100% understand what some of us are going through, but I just don't want you to go overboard. And there's some studies and some articles out there. It's coming out right now about high suicide and alcoholics becoming in these times. And that's just, I definitely want to hit on that and let you know, hey, if you need something, call me. Okay. But because you never know what's really going on behind these screens. Okay.
Yeah, we're 3 weeks at this point now, and I think maybe in the beginning a lot of us might have been in denial of what was going on, but now most of us should be at a point of acceptance. And that acceptance, it shows its traits in so many things like Chris mentioned, but it also shows itself in life and training and how your fundamental personality traits affect everything. So yeah, with that, don't be afraid to reach out, and let's make sure that we keep this community as strong as we can and keep sharing the positive affirmations with everyone.
No questions still? Nobody's got nothing? Man. All right. I got one more thing I'd like to talk about. We got about 10 minutes left. And that's going to the grocery store. Okay. Now, going to the grocery store it's a chore these days. It's tough. I mean, you got people looking at you wearing masks. Why in the hell are you out if you're wearing a mask? Is what I'm kind of thinking. But are they criticizing me for not wearing a mask? I'm like, so there's just things going on. It's out of the norm. But when we're going grocery shopping, the one thing I want you to understand: if you want to be soft, get on the inside of the aisles. If you want to be hard, stay on the outside aisles of the grocery store. That's where the meat and vegetables and eggs are. And I want you to shop on the outside. I don't want you to buy processed stuff. I know it lasts longer, and I know these times are uncertain. But hey, if you got to go every 3 days, challenge yourself to go every 3 days and get enough food on the outside of the aisles instead of the inside. So I wanted to throw that out because I've seen I went through the grocery store yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. And the processed stuff was disappearing. Like they was running out of Little Debbie's and tater chips. And I was like, holy shit. I was like, I know that those things they have a long shelf life, but that is not what we need to be fueling our bodies, especially people like us that are worried about our fitness every single day and want to want to be good every single day and strong and keep our gains and keep our muscles to make sure we're ready to go to the beach anytime, right, Mackenzie? There we go. So think about keeping your protein a little higher, keeping your water even up a little higher, because I'm sure a lot of us are drinking a little more than we'd like to admit. And you might be sneaking off. Like I seen a great meme the other day. You can't open one of those plastic cake that has the pre-made cake at the deli, you know. You can't open one of those quiet. And it says, I've been caught 3 nights in a row trying to get this open. So I know some are sneaking in there and grabbing them a shot of whiskey. But, you know, to each his own. But keep your protein a little higher, keep your hydration a little higher. Make sure you got some good complex carbs, nothing that's really fast digesting unless you're doing that before your workout. You know, just keep it simple, really.
And if there's any questions that you guys have that are just not on the forefront of your mind right now, you know, we're easily accessible and ready to answer all these questions. So, you know, the things we highlight are staying, you know, as healthy as you can with what you can control. Keep up your fitness, but then there's other things that you can do on the outside. Those isometric contractions. We can look for some videos and ideas and suggestions to post. Try a new gymnastics movement. Challenge yourself to find something, and track your progress. Chart that progress and journey, and trying to improve that movement. I guarantee you, when we get back in the gym, if you've done the due diligence of finding a movement along those lines, I guarantee you it'll pay so many dividends when the opportunity presents itself again. And the stress that's into our lives, and Chris already mentioned it earlier, but I am such a proponent of deep relaxation breathing or meditation or anything like that. When we're in this current situation where stress can be so much higher, I don't know how many of us get a little bit more frustrated with our spouses just because we have no space and no opportunity to get away. That relaxation breathing, that meditation is so good for us, for suppressing your immune system and just keeping our health high, because we're already in this position and we're all in this together. But keeping your stress low will help you in so many other aspects everywhere.
I got just got a private message and a text message. You said, well, that's it. I'm definitely pushing the car this week. So I'm not going to call y'all out, but I do want to see the video.
Yeah, I want to see some cars being pushed. I do.
What if you drive a Prius, though? I mean, is that really an accomplishment?
Well, that's you should be pushing that, right?
Yeah, but I mean, is that?
Mackenzie, I got a bus you can push.
Oh, okay.
Hey,
That
push
feels
it
different.
uphill. Push that Prius uphill.
I know good and well it was Jake Irvin that sent you that text.
Oh man,
You're not funny, Brad. Just to let you know.
I'm gonna get my truck out on the street today. It's being done today.
Yeah. When's the last time you've pushed a truck? Because Chris, I know you've pushed a truck before.
It's probably out of a ditch that I put it in.
I'm talking about for fitness,
Oh,
not for bad choices.
no, it's been a while. Maybe 1998.
When I first met him and he was like 290 of all muscle, he was lifting Mini Coopers. So
I had to push the old minivan once. It was rough.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was heavy. It's like a 2000. I think I made I don't know, heavy.
that's a fun challenge. I'm gonna put that on the group message right now.
I love it. I can't wait to see it.
So Ben, give us the car wad.
Give you the car wad.
Oh yeah,
Right.
it's easy.
It can be, what do you say? Let's say a 10-minute AMRAP, 10 air squats, push the car 30 feet.
Perfect.
what if you live in a hilly neighborhood?
Well, that means you're going to have to use your legs, Brad.
Go downhill.
What if your spouse doesn't want you to accidentally wreck the vehicle. Does anybody else want to see a video of Abraham pushing our bus?
Yes.
Without a doubt.
Absolutely. A lot of hands raised, babe. A lot of hands.
You better get in there to be ready to hit the brakes. That poor thing's gonna roll over him.
Hill Street is flat. He should be totally good to do that.
Yeah, until we hit the roundabout.
Roundabout.
Let's look at
Push it-
a
push it the other
harness
way.
dog leash.
What's that object? Stay in motion. That's that.
I definitely want to harness him up and do the dog leash pull.
One thing I do want to talk about, y'all are talking about, expecting to lose some of your strength. Would we also need to reset our rep budgets because our volume's gone down under load?
Well, the volume of repetition probably has actually gone up. And I would assume that because we're doing so many more body weight exercises, I would assume that that's going way up. And that's also why when we didn't talk about it, but thinking about mobility and the improvement of mobility, because we're probably getting a lot more repetitive use of joints and tissues and ligaments, tendons, etc. So that is probably, we're seeing a shift in that. So I would say not necessarily resetting our rep budget because it's different. I would say we are seeing a greater overuse of certain movement patterns because when we have minimal equipment or don't have much equipment at all, we can only do the same movement so many times.
One thing I'm scared to death of, Ben, is the gym opening back up and us being able to do Murph and having so many cases of rhabdo from not doing 100 pull-ups.
And we'll just have to, as owners, as coaches, we'll just have to take this very intelligent role and this very smart approach to it and how we do that and how we encourage that. Because no, that is an extremely high risk. Also, have seen such a mild winter, and this spring is already extremely weird where we've seen hot and we are going to get cold again in the next couple of days. So when Murph rolls around, there's that likelihood of it's going to be extremely hot, and we haven't had much experience to temperature. So that will also play a role as well.
Yeah.
Brad, it's Abraham. One of the things that I talked to a professor over at ETSU a little while ago, and I just asked him, how online classes are going. And he's like, well, I just kind of put it out there, and I'm not really getting a lot of feedback from my students, but come test time, I'll know who's doing the work and who's not doing the work. But I think for you all as coaches is that who's on these, at least on the Zoom calls. And so who's kind of putting in the work and stuff like that. And so even if we, do the Murph at the gym, like you'll know who to kind of watch and know, who's done your homework and who hasn't and who's going to be most, if that's really what you're nervous about, is you can kind of maybe prevent some of that just by watching it and telling people to slow down or, whatever that is. But I really think that's a big thing. And you said it earlier, it's just like when you get back to the gym, you either know that you did the homework or you didn't. And that'll be pretty evident of who did it when we get back. So.
And we can even set something up that, who knows if we'll even be back 2 weeks before, 3 weeks before, 1 week before, we don't know. But we could even put something out that could be this kind of barometer of where everyone is by doing a similar type of task. That could put everybody on this expectation, because I think the push-ups and the air squats will be fine. The running, for the most part, should be fine. It'll be the pull-ups, but that's where rhabdomyolysis comes from more so, is that pull-up, that eccentric contraction of the pull-up.
Yeah, just to continue that, whatever we've been doing, like if you don't have a pull-up bar at home, whatever you've been doing for the pull-ups, that is probably what we would make you do during Murph anyways, just because You know, even if that's a 40-pound torpedo, that's still 100 repetitions at one time. And there's no way I would allow somebody to jump up on the pull-up bar that just got their pull-up back in October, let's say, and they've been doing these Zoom bent over rows or Superman rows or Pendlay row, whatever rowing you've been doing is probably what I would make you do for Murph anyways. But like, you know, Ben just said, the air squats and the push-ups, we're probably going to be on top of our game of those two movements, plus the running. Running's running. It's we can all do cardio anytime we really want to, Jay.
You know, we talked about earlier the sensitivity. We talked about earlier the sensitivity to pain and our body's ability to adapt to that. And that's something that we're lacking. A good example of that would be a hook grip, where if we haven't had access to a barbell and we haven't been using a hook grip, which everybody should be using a hook grip, but if we're not, but there will be some people when we get back to the gym, and if we do any kind of Olympic lifting and they have to do a hook grip, it's going to feel like they've been hook gripping for the first time. So there's going to be this tissue tolerance as well. And that tissue tolerance for the hand safety on a Murph will also be a big indicator too, where a lot of people won't think their hands will tear. But if your hands haven't created this capacity for stress, then the hands probably will tear. So that'll also be something we'll have to be extremely proactive about as well.
I love these private messages, balls. But I mean, there's no way that I will be ready to do 100 pull-ups for Murph, because all I've been doing is strict pull-ups, and that ain't gonna happen for 100 without some type of problems that's gonna last for weeks after that. So you have to be smart when you choose that, because it's gonna damage, and we're already in I don't want to say a negative situation, but we're in an altered situation from our normacy. So there's no way we should be thinking about jumping on that pull-up bar for that. I mean, it's I feel that our coaches are smarter than most coaches out there, so we'll be able to handle it on the field.
And most of the time, Murph is about honoring our heroes. It's not necessarily about the workout. There's very few of us in our whole worldwide community that really should be pushing that to the absolute limits of trying to PR their scores. But for the most part, it's honoring that day and honoring our fallen heroes. And we can't lose sight of that.
Correct. Nobody's got questions, man? I was really hoping somebody was going to like blast me with something interesting.
Well, I have a question, but it might be jumping the gun a little bit, but talking about, things that we're going to sort of have to, I don't know about looking forward to, but how the future will play out, like when we're finally able to get back into the gym, what kind of programming do you think that we'll have to sort of break everybody back into like using a bar, like I just did those cleans with 75 pounds. I thought I was going to die.
We've kind of chatted about this on a very low level, small level, but with a lot of the things that we've kind of talked about now and kind of relearning how to move, and our goal will be to put a bigger emphasis on teaching, and almost teaching as if nobody had ever done movements before. Movements themselves, whether it's the squat or a clean or whatever, they're infinitely refinable, even for the best of the best. So I think that our goal will be to approach those things of trying to teach as if nobody has ever done a lot of these movements before, and just really put an emphasis on the form, because form follows function. And we know that it'll be a while before we get back to our previous state of fitness. So let's make sure we do it even better than we ever did before. And I guarantee that everyone will see the benefits of that in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, the programming it'll be great because it'll be great for the coaches because we're going to be gun ho by that time, and it'll be good to hit the reset button on everybody and do take the first week and do the 9 fundamental movements of CrossFit and build that base of fitness back up to moving a barbell or shouldered overhead or whatever the movement may be, a sumo deadlift high pull to the clean. And it'll be I'm excited for it. Don't get me wrong. It's going to be a fun time for us coaches.
Ben,
I mean,
back.
do you guys, sorry, Brad, do you guys already see like bad habits? I don't know how much form you can analyze from a Zoom thing, but like, that's what I guess I'm worried that I'm starting to collect bad habits already,
I'm not going to go out on a limb, but I'm going to say absolutely. Without someone keeping you in check, it's easy to cut a air squat high or cut a push-up shy or not touch your feet on total or the sit-up. I mean, it's easier to do those things. So that'd be a great time to kind of do a self-analysis and say, okay, I could care less about finishing this cardio piece. I want to finish it with perfect movement every time and just kind of refine that air squat, refine that push up, and refine that sit up to where, it's immaculate. It's just a beautiful work of art, and don't worry about, and that's kind of where we get into this, what I call like a relationship crazy cycle. It just keeps repeating because we worry about how fast we're finishing more than how much quality we're putting into the work. So it'd be even a great time to do a self-assessment of saying, okay, I finished and I beat X, Y, and Z, but was my reps worth a damn right now? And if they wasn't, then it doesn't matter that you beat X, Y, and Z. It matters about your fitness. So a little self-analysis is going a long way right now. Does that help?
And I think majority of us gravitate to these types of fitness because so many of us are type A personalities. So therefore, trying to get us to slow down and be perfect with movement where we just say, hey, I want to go because I want to feel a workout. So it's that catch-22 that often we put ourselves in just because of our personality traits. But I think the coaches will all say, this will be the time when we all get back, that if you've picked up some of those bad habits, we're going to do everything we can to try and fix them, try and correct them. We'll even go above and beyond of our ability to teach, coach, and see these problems and fix those problems. So yeah, if you are making these faulty movement patterns now, if it's with a barbell, it's pretty easily fixable. If it's with an air squat or a push-up, that's where we want to challenge these gymnastics movements that you can do on your own, that those can be refined on your own. But when it comes to a barbell, it's always harder to take that self-analysis and be able to fix it. You can see it, but it's harder to fix it as an individual. But some of these air squats, push-ups, those things, I think those can be fixed by watching your own videos. I know it sounds crazy, but there were times when I would be teaching with level 1 and I would video myself with the PVC pipe and I would go back and analyze myself to make sure that what you see is what I want you to see. Because a lot of times, whether it's our own self-awareness, we might think we move differently than we do. So being able to see yourself on a video gives you this higher sense of self-awareness when you're able to visualize that. So to answer your question directly, if you are forming bad habits, I don't think you're going to accumulate enough reps in our current 3-week, 6-week, 8-week, whatever it turns out to be, I don't think you're going to accumulate enough reps that aren't fixable. I think it'll all be very fixable if it's gotten a little bit worse. But I don't think you'd have to accumulate, Malcolm Gladwell 10,000 terrible reps for us to have a harder time fixing it. You had a question. I don't know if you still have it fresh.
Yeah, so I was just going to say that honestly, I'm looking around the screen here. Everybody outside of Amy probably didn't know this, but we used to do a technique week. What was it, Chris? I think 13, 14, 15. So we took a week in August where we basically did a 5-day version of the L1 seminar. And I think this could be a good thing for us once we get back, because it was low in volume and really hounded technique. And so.
Yeah, we got, that was definitely, we brought everybody to bring a family member or friend that's never tried it out before. And because we done it so basic, we broke it down like the air squat and wall balls the first day. And, I believe we done a pressing series, we done a pulling series, and it was a great reset for the whole gym to kind of tighten everybody's reps back up and get back to what a standard repetition looked like. And, it helped everybody, and it made it fun because we got to yell out no reps to other members, so everybody had fun with it. And, everybody had to get in the middle of this big circle of his 20-person class and demo a air squat. You just got picked apart, which was, it's fun at the end of the day, because that is how we're going to get better and refine our movements.
One of the reasons that many of the best in whatever their sport is, they're the best at their sport because they waste no energy on bad movement. So if we do go to this technique week, and maybe we extend that out even further than just 1 week, and we take these simple progressions off the foundational movements, it's not sexy, but most people will see the results pay off in months and months down the road, not just from numbers, but from overall joint health and joint safety and just how your body feels overall when it's all said and done.
Cool.
Man, this is like pulling eye teeth. Mackenzie, you know how hard that is.
No, thank you guys. This has been good. I would agree with you. I mean, I've been doing 4 days a week since we've been out. And yeah, I'm moving a lot more without the weight, right? I'm fine. And I probably lost like 5 pounds, but then again, I'm not traveling and eating out all the time. So that helps. But yeah, I've noticed I'm moving a lot faster and a lot more reps just by default.
Yeah.
So that's been, to me, it's been good. I needed that. My heart rate's goes up a lot quicker. So
Big ass.
Justin.
No.
And if we get down to brass tacks with that, and if we talk about the sport of fitness, which I know a lot of times we use that as this broad general inclusiveness, but let's say, for example, that you want to get better at burpees. You have to do burpees, or at least some capacity of a burpee. So if there's something you want to get better at, you got to do it.
Yeah, we've done a lot more of those in the last 3 weeks. So.
Hey, this is Abraham. Can you all speak on, I have done the vast majority of the remote workouts, but I think this morning or yesterday morning was thinking, should I be doing like 2 and 3 or half and half, or is there, I like doing the remotes, but there's a part of me that kind of misses the more CrossFit-y stuff. So just trying to figure out what the balance of that should be.
I think that will always go to some kind of personal individualization for yourself and your goals overall for yourself. But there's this thing that when you come to doing the CrossFit workouts or anything that's higher intensity or even amongst the group, you're in mutual suffering. When you're doing a lot of those remote workouts and you're doing them by yourself, you're not suffering with your community. Now, you might be doing the same thing that a lot of your community is doing, but there is something to be said when you're doing those pieces that ask you to overcome some adversity of being tired, breathing heavy, not necessarily a competition side of things, but there is something super important and innately human about having to compete. So I'm going to dance around your question a little bit, but
You don't have to, Ben, because his wife's doing CrossFit every morning while he's doing Zoom. So
I think
Yeah, and I'm doing the remotes with everybody, so I'm not strong enough to do it by myself. And I think you're exactly right, man. I think you definitely push harder when you're with other people. But yeah, Lee, I mean, that's the thing. Like Lee's doing CrossFit, like the Greek goddess that she is. That was mentioned earlier this morning. But but she's doing that, and I think
so. It must have happened.
but we, so there's